It is an hour before dawn in Timbuktu, and you are standing on the flat mud roof of your father's house, counting camels. 400 of them kneel in the square below, roped nose to tail in the darkness, groaning like old doors. Today they rise, and the great salt caravan, the azalai, goes north, and you go with it. You are 16 years old, and this is your first crossing. Your father finds your hand in the dark. He cannot find your face anymore. 20 years of salt glare took his eyes, white mile after white mile. Into your palm he presses a small iron chisel, worn smooth as a river stone. Salt remembers the hand that cuts it, he says. Mark one slab for me. You will carry that sentence across 400 miles of sand. You were born into salt the way other boys are born into fishing boats or thrones. Your family's trading house has sent men north for 3 generations, and the arithmetic of your world is brutally simple. South of the great river there is gold, so much gold that kings of it become legends. But there is no salt, and a human body without salt dies as surely as a body without water. North, 20 days into the worst desert on earth, lies a place where the ground itself is salt. Between the gold and the salt stands your family, and between your family and the salt stands the Sahara. It is the year 1324. Your empire is called Mali, and its lord, Mansa Musa, has just ridden east on a pilgrimage to Mecca with thousands of men in his train and 80 camels just to carry the gold. Remember that. It will matter before you are home. The azalai moves like a single animal, a rope of camels 2 miles long, and you learn its rhythm with your feet. Walk from the cold hour before sunrise, rest through the white blindness of noon, walk again into the dark. The guide is an old Masufa tribesman named Idris, his face wrapped to the eyes in indigo. The drovers swear he cannot be lost, that he reads a handful of sand by its smell and names the dune it came from. He teaches you, because you ask, the color of a dune's flank, the taste of well water, which sweetness means life and which means sickness. And at night, the stars. The sky is the only road that never moves, he tells you. You memorize the wells between here and Taghaza like verses of scripture. At the Wells of Arawan, you learn what the desert thinks of money. Water is rationed by the measured cup, one for each man, poured under the watermaster's eye. A merchant in fine robes, a man who owns 40 of these camels, offers a gold ring for a second cup. The watermaster does not even look up. Gold is heavy, he says. Drink it then. Beside you, a drover boy younger than you trembles with thirst and spills half his ration into the sand. You pour half of your cup into his bowl before you have decided to do it. Idris sees. He says nothing. But he walks beside you the rest of that day. On the 9th day, you cross a field of bones. Camels and men together, bleached white, half swallowed by the dune. A whole caravan that missed a well by half a day's walk, years ago, and lay down in order, still in its line. The azalai passes through slowly, and 400 camels make no more sound than the wind. No one speaks for an hour afterward. That night you check the knots on your water skin twice, and then a third time. Taghaza announces itself by glittering. You see it from an hour away, a low shimmer on the dead flat plain, and when you walk into it you understand. The houses are built of salt. Walls of salt block, cut square. A mosque cut from the same salt. Roofs of camel hide stretched over salt beams. The richest ugly place in the world. Even the well water here is brackish. The camels pull their lips back from it. Nothing grows here. Every date, every grain of millet walks in on a camel from a month away. And in the pits at the edge of town, you see where your family's wealth comes out of the earth. Slave miners of the Masufa lords, working in the glare, cutting the salt bed into slabs with blows you can hear from the dunes. Men who will never go home, cutting wealth they will never hold. You are 16, and it is the first time your trade has a face. Everything the world calls treasure, Idris says quietly, someone paid for in a place like this. You load anyway. You are not proud of how easy it is. 4 slabs to a camel, 2 slung on each side in rope cradles. You choose one slab, white as moonlight, and cut your father's mark into it, a crescent and 3 dots. The chisel jumps on the first stroke. You cut it again, deeper. That evening, fever takes the caravan master, and command of the return passes to your uncle. The season is late, the southern wells are low, and your uncle says one word by the fire that makes the whole camp go quiet. Takshif. Here is the mechanism that decides whether you live. Between Taghaza and the waters of Walata lies a stretch of 10 days with no well at all. No caravan can carry enough water to be wrong in it. So a single rider is sent ahead, the Takshif, carrying letters to Walata so that the city sends water bearers 4 days out into the desert to meet you. If the Takshif arrives, you live. If he dies in the sand, the caravan follows him into it. Men will still be crossing this way a generation from now, and one of them will write it down in almost exactly those words. Your Takshif is a thin, quiet man named Sagir. He rides out at dusk on the fastest camel, and you watch him shrink into the south until the dark takes him. 2 days later, the storm comes. The world turns to sand. You breathe through cloth, kneeling against your camel's flank, and the desert howls for 2 days without drawing breath. When the sky finally clears, the dunes have moved. The track is gone, and gone with it every certainty that Sagir is still alive. Your uncle counts the water skins, 3 days of water, 4 if the weakest camels are cut loose. That night, the council around the fire splits the caravan in 2. Turn back to Taghaza, and the house loses the season. Perhaps loses everything. You left debts behind to fill these cradles. Walk on, and you are betting 400 camels and 120 men on a thin, quiet rider who may already be under the sand. Your uncle stares into the fire, and you watch the command sit on him like a load. And then you hear yourself say it. Send a second Takshif. Send me. Silence. You have the sharpest eyes in the caravan, and Idris barely needs his. 2 riders, the 2 fastest camels left, half the water the camp can spare. Your uncle looks at you for a long time, doing the arithmetic no one should do about his brother's son. Then he puts the route letters in your hand. You ride out into a world scraped clean. The storm has erased everything. No track, no dung, no bird, no line between sand and sky. Only heat heavy enough to slow your blink. 2 camels and the south. At every halt, Idris dismounts, takes a handful of sand, holds it to the gap in his veil, and lets it run through his fingers. Then he corrects your course, 2 degrees west, a thumb's width against the horizon. You ride on his nose and his memory. At night the cold comes down, and the stars come down with it, close enough to touch, and you ride the sky road, Idris naming the waymarks one by one as they rise. On the 3rd night, he is silent too long over the sand in his palm. It has changed, he says quietly. The storm has buried what his hands knew. For the first time in 40 years, the old man is lost. So you climb, the tallest dune within reach, on your hands and knees by the end. And in the grey light before dawn, you see it, a cairn. 3 flat stones on a ridge, stacked by human hands, the line of wells. By noon there is dust on the southern horizon, the water-bearers out of Walata already coming north. Sagir made it, half dead across his saddle, but alive. You turn back with the water, and you reach the azalai with 1 dry day left in its skins. The first one to reach your stirrup is the drover boy from Arawan, laughing and crying into the same breath. Walata is the first roofs of the living world, and it is boiling with one story. The Mansa has reached Cairo. And in Cairo, they say, he is pouring out gold like grain at a wedding. Alms by the fistful, gifts by the chest, until the bazaars are drunk with it. Merchants just back from Egypt swear a chest of gold buys less there every month. The metal of kings is drowning in its own plenty. And your salt? The price of salt has climbed while you were in the sand. A load that cost you 8 mithqals of gold here will fetch 20 or 30 in the cities of the south. More this year, because half the gold in the empire seems to be walking to Mecca. You think of the merchant at Arawan, holding out a gold ring for a cup of water. A thing is worth what it keeps alive. The desert taught you. Cairo is learning. 2 months after you counted camels from this rooftop, you walk back into Timbuktu behind the same 400, thinner, slower, alive. The house sells the load at nearly double what it paid, all but one slab. That one you carry through the streets on your own shoulder and set in your father's hands. His fingers find the crescent and the 3 dots, and he reads the mark the way Idris reads sand, by touch, by memory, by love. Salt remembers, he says, and for a moment his blindness does not matter at all. Here is what the histories will keep and what they will lose. They will keep the gold. 12 years from now, the money changers of Cairo will still be cursing your emperor's generosity. 50 years from now, map makers in Europe will paint Mansa Musa on their charts holding a golden nugget. The richest man, they will say, who has ever lived. The gold made the legend, but the salt built the city. Caravan by caravan, season by season, the trade you walked will turn Timbuktu into a city of scholars and libraries. Hundreds of thousands of manuscripts, bought, the saying goes, with gold dust and salt slabs in equal weight. And one thing more, which almost nobody says out loud. The empires fell, the gold ran out. The maps changed their minds, but the azalai never stopped. 700 years after your crossing, the salt caravans still walk your route, slab by slab. The last working camel caravans on earth, the oldest trade alive, under the only road that never moves. One dawn, years from now, you will stand on that same roof with your own son and press the chisel into his palm. Salt remembers the hand that cuts it.